I love that when I watched your TED Talk, you were talking a lot about how we are ingrained biologically, created biologically for each other. Like we need that human connection. We need to be with one another for us to thrive, survive, and we're really just tribal beings. So, how has this culture of connection and the importance of human connection changed you personally and the way that you perceive relationships around you? Welcome to Adulting with Joyce Pring, the how-tos of your 20s told by 20-something, traversing through life expectantly and with gusto.
Yeah, so we are biologically wired. It's ingrained in our DNA to be socially connected. In the past, if you were by yourself outside of the tribe, the saber-tooth tiger was going to come and eat you. So you didn't want to do that. You wanted to stay with the group and be connected with the group, and that's, we're just super advanced monkey brains in an advanced world. Or sorry, we're monkey brains in an advanced world. So. But for me, the thing that I've been able to do with the social connections around me is I have a core group. This is something I would just tell everyone: don't have an unlimited number of friends. Like social media makes it feel like we do, but the reality is I have like 7 people in my inner circle. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Dunbar number. Have you heard this number before?
Nope.
So Robin Dunbar was a biologist, and he studied the history of human communities, and he found out that the average brain can only hold up to about 140 human connections, social connections at any given moment. So there was this sort of like hypothesis that that's the max the brain can do. He then did another study on it and found that it's not 140 all the same, but it actually tiers out, that our inner circle has about 5, but then it goes to 15, and then it goes to 45, and so on, up to 140 something. So I tell people, and this is true for me, is I have my 140, I have my 4,000, I have my 10,000, but at the end of the day, the ones that have the biggest emotional value for me are those 5 to 15. The rest of them, which in psychology is called bridging social capital. These are people that aren't my close connections, but are they're out there. They're great for resources, for connections, but the emotional stuff happens from that inner 5 to 15. And I tell people, find out who they are, write them down on a piece of paper, and figure out a process to really cultivate those relationships, because those are the ones that are going to give biologically the best value to you.
And they pretty much define who we become, right? Because I feel like that starts with your family, who you grew up with, and then it eventually grows into the people that you meet at school or the people that you meet at work, and then eventually when you start creating your own family, those relationships, the way that we cultivate them, really shape who we are and shape the way that we bring up our children in the future, or even shape the relationships that we have outside in the 140 people. But I think one of the biggest challenges of this pandemic and the whole lockdowns, what it's brought upon us is really this disconnect of how to create those connections or even keep those connections. Like I find that there were friends who I felt like were in my 15 people that I was very close with, but then we had a really difficult time struggling and reconnecting and staying connected because of everything that's happening around us. So as somebody who really talks about the culture of connection, how do you think we can do human connection and still be engaged at this kind of situation? How do we adjust to it?
Yeah, and before I answer that, I just want to go to one thing to add to what you said. The people around us shape us, that inner core, and the research backs that up too. We are the average of the 7 to 10 people we keep around us. And it started with weight, and they found out you can find out guess someone's weight based on measuring the weight of the 7 people around them and dividing and find the average. But it's same is true for income. It's same is true for IQ. The same is true, or not intelligence. The same is true for grade point average. So I always tell students, I'm like, if you're a C student, go hang out with A students. Your grade point average will naturally go up. It's because we pick up the habits of the people around us. And so I learned that pretty early on. So I have this game now. I'm like, I'm constantly trying to be the dumbest person in the room, because then I know I'm going to pick up these great habits. So that's one of my strategies. To answer your question around how to then build cultural connection in this digital space. So the things I'm doing, and I'll share what I'm doing, and then maybe it works for other people. So number one is I'm doing a lot of one-on-ones or small groups. So I'm not trying to do these large, like anytime it's 100 people in a Zoom call or something, there's no social connect. That is not happening. But these one-on-ones are happening. The trick is that I have to be more intentional about it, because it's like everyone seems so busy now. I don't know why, because we're not traveling, like we're all home. And I'm the same way, but I'm very intentional about it. Then the second part is social media does help, because it keeps me up to date with what people are doing. And then the third thing is, and this is not for everyone, but I'm actively sending people stuff in the mail, like writing letters, saying hi in the mail, just randomly sending them unique things, because it's a way to be able to just mix this up, this screen time that we have always.
Mm-mm. And I guess you're right. These are the practices that you have, and some people can pick up on it, but we can also start thinking about how you could create your own human connection, or how you could actually cultivate those relationships. Like I would always tell my girlfriends, as a woman, I love thinking about skincare and all these other fun things. And sometimes I actually buy extra ones to send to my mom or to my girlfriends, because I feel like that's just a nice way of me reminding them that, hey, I'm here. If you need someone to talk with about even the most banal stuff in life, from skincare to then the struggles that you're dealing with, we could do that together. And I think it's just really being present in the lives of people that create those connections.